You know what hurts more than being excluded? Realizing you were never really part of it in the first place. That truth didn't knock. It seeped in, slow and cold, the second I tapped my sister's live stream and saw champagne flutes glittering in my parents' living room. Not forgotten, erased. I'm Lucas, 30, and Christmas used to mean hope, I guess. Not the food, not the gifts. It was the yearly truce where we pretended to be a real family. We'd cram too many folding chairs into Mom's house, dollar store stockings by the fake fireplace, the same off-key playlist, and my cousin Zane tripping over the dog right on cue. Chaotic, small, imperfect, but ours. I did my part this year, like every year. I shipped gifts early and thoughtful. A new blender for Mom because her old one literally smoked at Thanksgiving. Limited edition sneakers for my influencer sister Kara. A crate of craft beer for Dad, destined to vanish by Boxing Day. I live a state away, in a studio that's clean when I'm lonely and messy when I'm not. I work in finance. I've been fortunate. And when my family needed help, rent short, Wi-Fi unpaid, someone's copay, they never had to ask twice. No speeches, just love wired from one account to another. So when Mom texted, "Hey kids, we're canceling Christmas this year, too expensive, keeping it low-key, love you," I said, "Okay, understood." No guilt. I heated a frozen lasagna, lit a pine scent candle a coworker gave me, and put on Home Alone for the umpteenth time. I told myself quiet could also be holy. On Christmas night, my phone buzzed. Kara is live. Hope is a strange animal. It gets up even when you tell it to stay. I tapped. Our living room. Lights on every wall. A tree that could have been rented from a showroom. A DJ booth by the fireplace. Dozens of people. Laughter, confetti, Prosecco spraying like it was New Year's. "Merry Christmas from the real crew," Kara yelled into the phone, glitter eyeshadow catching the chandelier. I scanned faces. Uncles. Cousins. Zane, naturally, with red wine already on his shirt. Everyone. Except me. So it wasn't about money, it was about me. I didn't move. The lasagna went cold. The candle guttered. Somewhere in the apartment above me, someone laughed at a movie. I stared at my screen until it dimmed, and in that dim blue, the shape of a decision formed. A decision shaped like a boundary I should have set years ago. The next morning, December 26th, Dad texted, "Can you send the $3,100 for January? Need it by tomorrow." No greeting, no, "How was your night?" Just like I was a bank with no memory. I opened my banking app and waited for the page to load, for the story it was about to tell. Line by line, my phone listed the quiet ways I'd been keeping their world spinning. The rent on a temporary second apartment Dad had moved into 6 months ago, Kara's phone bill, somehow still on my card after that 1-month emergency 2 years back, the family Spotify plan, the Netflix, the Wi-Fi, the utilities on their house, my name, their address. Dozens of little ropes knotted over time, all tied to me. I started where it made sense. Utilities, transfer requests submitted, autopay canceled. Streaming, logged out, passwords rotated. Phone bill, reclaimed. Second apartment rent, terminated with notice. A clean cut hurts less than a frayed one. I didn't rage post, I didn't subtweet. I just unplugged, as quietly as they'd cut me out of Christmas. It took 90 minutes, By the end, my hands shook, not from anger, clarity. 53 missed calls stacked up by noon. I let them ring. I did listen to one voicemail, Mom's voice, soft and trembling. "Please call us. There's been a misunderstanding." There hadn't. The thing about misunderstandings is they only get corrected when someone wants the truth more than they want comfort. My family has always chosen comfort with each other and correction for me. On my lunch break, I walked 2 blocks and sat on a bench that faces a little city park. Kids in puffy coats built lopsided snow people. I thought about my first memory of not belonging. 2nd grade, the Christmas pageant. I'd been a shepherd, missing a line, voice too small. Afterward, we went for hot chocolate. The server brought extra marshmallows for Kara because she sang like an angel. No one noticed I hadn't gotten any. Not cruelty, just 1,000 tiny tilts that always leaned away from me. My phone buzzed again. Kara's story. A black screen with white text. "Some people live to ruin Christmas. Imagine doing that to your own family." Comments rolled in. "Spill, sis. Cut him off. Jealous energy." It was almost funny if it wasn't so precise. At 3 p.m., my bank flagged a login attempt from an old iPad I'd left at my parents' house years ago. I'd never logged out. 3 tries. Wrong password. I changed everything, bank, email, cloud, the works, and felt that cocktail of violation and relief. Then I stood up, tossed my coffee, and decided texting wouldn't be enough. I drove. The house looked like a hangover. Sagging lights, Santa listing on the lawn, through the window confetti clinging to baseboards, a glitter trail toward the kitchen. Dad opened the door in a wrinkled hoodie, eyes hollow. For a second, the script tried to run. I apologize, he minimizes, we reset to the old arrangement. But I deleted the script. "Where's the iPad?" I asked. He blinked. "What?" "The one I left here. Someone tried to access my bank from it." A beat. "Maybe—" "Kara, save it," I said. "I'm here to collect it. Then I'm gone." He didn't argue. He just turned, shuffled down the hall. The place smelled like stale beer and fake pine. Kara came down the stairs, eyes red, mascara tracing thin rivers. "Lucas, wait. Can we talk? 5 minutes." I looked at the staircase, at the broken garland drooping from the banister like a tired smile. "I gave you 5 years, I said. I'm here for the iPad." Her mouth worked around a sentence she wasn't quite brave enough to say. Dad reappeared, handed me the tablet, without meeting my eyes. In the entryway, something caught my attention. Grandpa's old coat rack. One of his hats still hung there. A brown fedora with a nick in the brim he said was from the best summer anyone ever had. Grandpa was the only person who ever made me feel seen without earning it. He'd left me a piece of land when he died. "For whatever future you build," the letter read. Dad had been angry about that. He wanted it kept in the family, by which he meant in his control. I stepped outside with the iPad, and the cold slapped me awake. Across the street, my parents' neighbor, Mr. Patel, was loading plastic tables into his minivan. He lifted a hand. I lifted mine back. "Lucas, we missed you last night. You want to come by today? We have leftovers. My wife made too much biryani, again." Kindness is a dangerous thing when you're raw. It can split you open. "Thank you," I said. Maybe another day." He nodded as if I'd already said yes. "We'll keep a plate. Food tastes better when you're not alone." On the way back to my car, I saw the party detritus up close. Gold napkins stamped "The Real Crew." The words didn't even sting anymore. They just told the truth. Back in my apartment, I powered up the iPad, wiped it clean, and locked it in a drawer. Then I opened a box I hadn't touched in years. Grandpa's letters. His handwriting was confident, all loops and long tails. In one he'd written, "There are two kinds of belonging, kiddo. The kind they give you because of blood, and the kind you earn by how you show up. Only one of those is real." I argued with that line when I was 19. Today, it felt like a key. Evening settled, the city turned that soft blue it gets when snow is on the way. My phone vibrated. Jasmine from work. "You okay? Swing by our place. We've got board games and ugly sweaters." I typed, erased, typed again. "Rain check. Thanks for thinking of me." At 10 p.m., the apartment felt too quiet. I brewed tea and stood by the window, watching flakes start to fall. My reflection looked like someone I almost recognized, someone who wasn't performing usefulness as a way to be included. Midnight. Sleep wouldn't come. I opened a blank note on my phone, wrote, "Mom, Dad, I love you. I'm done paying to be tolerated." I stared at the words until they blurred, then saved it without sending. The next day would be the first one with my new boundary standing. I didn't trust it yet, but it stood. The morning after you draw a line, your body behaves like you did something wrong. Coffee tasted like guilt. I put the mug down and waited for the feeling to pass. It didn't, so I went for a walk. The city after Christmas is a strange mix of glitter and gray, a Santa hat flattened in the gutter, a pine tree on its side near the curb, a kid still testing out a new sled, and a patch of stubborn snow. I walked until my ears hurt from the cold, and then I kept walking. At a corner bakery, I grabbed a bagel and sat by the window. A little girl at the next table tried to balance a sprinkle cookie on her dad's nose. He failed dramatically. She shrieked, "Victorious!" It was such an ordinary, generous sound that I felt something unclench behind my ribs. The moment of doubt didn't come like a thunderclap. It came like a practical thought. If I turn the Wi-Fi back on for a month, no one suffers. If I wire the $3,100, things calm down. If I apologize, maybe the story resets. I pulled out my phone and hovered over the banking app. My thumb shook. Across the street, a mural I'd passed 100 times without seeing suddenly demanded attention. A hand letting go of a rope. The rope wasn't fraying. The hand was. It was so on the nose I almost laughed. I dropped my thumb and put the phone face down. When I got home, a text waited from Mr. Patel. "Plate ready, no pressure." I went. His living room smelled like cardamom and garlic and joy. His grandkids were constructing a Lego empire on the rug. His wife insisted I take a second helping before I'd finished the first. They didn't pry. They asked ordinary questions and listened to ordinary answers. My nervous system, which had been braced for impact for 2 days straight, slowly sat down. On my way out, Mr. Patel walked me to the door. He said, "You know, sometimes you give and people don't notice. Not because they're bad, because you trained them not to. He shrugged. Train them different. That night, I pulled Grandpa's letter back out and read it again. Then I added to the note I'd written to my parents and didn't send. I'll always answer the phone for real emergencies. I won't subsidize comfort. If you want me at the table, say so before you said it. I slept 6 hours. Not perfect, better. In the days that followed, the noise finally peaked. Kara posted a carousel, her in a sparkly jumpsuit, the DJ, the tree, a caption about choosing your real family. I didn't engage. Dad left a voicemail I saved for my future therapist. You've made your point. Your aunt's furious, Kara's humiliated, your mother hasn't slept. Don't act like you're better than us, Lucas. You're just bitter. This will pass. You'll come crawling back like always. There it was, the operating system in his own voice. I met with a lawyer friend, not to sue, just to put air around the facts. We documented the iPad attempt, the accounts in my name at their address, the pattern of financial dependence. Then I closed what needed closing and transferred what needed transferring. Clean lines. And then I did the one thing that wasn't about them at all. Grandpa's land. 10 acres that smell like summer rain and sound like crickets if you stand still enough. Dad had always assumed it would stay in the family, which meant be available for his ideas. But Grandpa hadn't written for the family. He'd written for whatever future you build. I met with a nonprofit that builds youth shelters, real places with showers and a locked box for your things and staff who know your name. The director was a woman with a voice like a steady hand. She walked the property with me in boots and a red scarf and said, "We could do something beautiful here." Paperwork took a month. During that time, Mom sent a handwritten letter, 4 pages of cursive apologies and soft distancing. She wrote, "We didn't want drama. Kara took over planning. We figured you'd understand." Then the sentence that pinned me to my chair. "We didn't think it would hurt you so badly. We assumed you were used to it by now." Used to it. As if exclusion were a coat I wore well. I folded the letter carefully and put it with Grandpa's. Both truths, side by side. The day I signed the land over, the director hugged me in that awkward way strangers do when the moment requires contact. She said, "You just made paths for a lot of kids who've never had one." It didn't feel like revenge. It felt like alignment. Like taking the energy I used to spend holding up a house that didn't have room for me and pouring it into one that would shelter people who knew what being outside in the cold felt like. That night, Kara called from a friend's phone I didn't recognize. I let it go to voicemail. "You're ruining everything. You're being extra. What do you even want from us?" I replayed the question until the answer arrived, simple and clean. Nothing. Not payback. Not apology. Not even understanding. Just the space to stop needing those things. Months later, spring rinsed the salt from the city, and the youth shelter broke ground. I stood on the edge of Grandpa's land in a hard hat I didn't need, holding a foam cup of terrible coffee that tasted like victory anyway. A teenager with a blue streak in her hair asked if the meadow would stay wild. "Most of it," the director said. "People need grass under their feet sometimes." On weekends, I started showing up with a drill and the willingness to be told what to do. I learned to hang drywall badly, then accept being reassigned to painting. I labeled bins. I carried lumber. I listened to stories that unfolded slowly, like someone trusting a new language. The kids didn't know me as the reliable bank or the disappointing son. I was just Lucas, guy with paint on his sleeve. Once, at the grocery store, I turned a corner and nearly collided with Mom. She looked older and softer around the eyes. We froze, then did that polite dance strangers do when carts tangle. "Hi," she said. "Hi," I said. We stood there in the produce section, over a mountain of oranges, and didn't pretend. "How are you?" she asked. "Better," I said, and it was true. "You?" She nodded. "Trying." She didn't ask for passwords. I didn't ask for explanations. We both left with fruit we didn't need. It felt weirdly like progress. The shelter opened in late summer. We didn't cut a ribbon. The director just unlocked the door and said, "Welcome home." And a small crowd of kids and volunteers and neighbors carried boxes inside. Mr. Patel and his wife came with samosas. They pressed a container into my hands. "Food tastes better when you're not alone," he said, like it was a law of physics. That night, sitting on my fire escape with a paper plate and paint still under my nails, I thought about Christmas lights and gold napkins and the real crew. I thought about the quiet transaction I'd made with myself. Stop paying to be tolerated. Start investing in places where belonging doesn't require a receipt. A final envelope arrived a week later. No return address. Inside, a glossy photo from that Christmas night. Everyone smiling, glasses high. On the back, in block letters, "We still had a great time." I laughed, not because it was funny, but because it finally didn't matter. I slid the photo into a drawer with the other relics of a life I no longer needed to audition for. Here's what I know now. Sometimes the family you're born into teaches you your limits. Sometimes the family you build teaches you your worth. And sometimes peace doesn't come from making people understand you. It comes from understanding yourself enough to walk away. If you've ever been the one holding everything together so you could be allowed to stay, I'm not here to tell you to cut every cord. I'm here to say you can loosen your grip, you can let some ropes fall. You can choose a table where your chair doesn't cost you. So tell me, what would you do differently if you stopped paying for permission to belong?